and then we can get into textures. As you can see, there are a few textures on this image here. I'm going to tidy the edges up because it's very, very messy, very shady. I have to tidy that up later on. I'm just waiting for a few more to turn up, and we're going to study textures. So if you're not aware of who I am Art Walker. I am the man behind all of these drawings. This one was done with a reference. However, we will be working reference free, and we can study together how to draw textures. I haven't planned this live stream, so we're just going to have to kind of work through it together, be patient with one another, and then hopefully we'll get some good results, because usually I plan my live streams a little bit better than this, and today I just haven't. I just asked someone from the live stream before what we should draw, and then they said we should do textures, so I'm going to get involved in that now. So what I would suggest you do, this is not going to be a very long one because I haven't planned anything. Hopefully I can cover most of what we need to know. So what I would plan, or I would suggest you do, is practice using your pencil and gauging how it works for you. So as opposed to just drawing lines, you tilt your pencil. I like to use quite a long, well sharpened pencil, for example, like this. And I like to practice simple strokes like so. I literally did this yesterday because these strokes, whether they're diagonal, horizontal, vertical, are the foundation to everything that we draw. So I would definitely practice doing that first. Obviously, then you can start to combine. You start to combine the strokes. So there we have already a very basic structure and a very basic texture. We can also break up these lines. So like now, I'm drawing lines, but I'm breaking them up. I'm not actually just drawing lines straight anymore. I'm breaking them up. So let's combine this type of texture, or this type of line type, where it's slightly broken up, and look at how, excuse me, how it affects what we're looking at. See, so now we've got a totally different structure in this material here. So if I do the same again, just shift that over a bit. If I do the same again, break up the line, as you can see, slightly wobbly, right? That's exactly what we want. I'm going to draw it again here. You can see we've got quite a cool net. It's like a net material. And then let's go along here again with the same kind of broken. Now we've got a totally different texture, just because we've drawn the line slightly different than here. Is everyone getting that? So this is where you have to experiment. How you doing, Crystal? So this is where you have to experiment, right? And then you have to think to yourself, where can I use that? Where can I use this technique? So what I would do also is think about different line types and different strokes. See, so I'm just varying the width of my line in the way that I am lifting it at the end. You see that? I'm just lifting the pencil at the end. And then all of a sudden you can see you've got a different effect. I've used this technique to draw hair, for example. You can also use that for grass. Depending on your style of artwork, maybe it's not your style, but you can use that for different types of grass or vegetation type objects. How you how you doing, Des? How could you do scales? Well, scales, it depends. It depends because obviously scales are just simply arcs. And bearing in mind, I haven't got any scales in front of me. So we're going to have to kind of put this together. I'm not sure what type of scales you're looking for. But they are simply arcs. I would like to have a reference because it does have a, what's the word, some sort of symmetry. And if anything, I'm going to rub that out actually. That's the problem. I am not prepared for this one, but I can say to you that even scales have their own symmetry where you see like so, and then we can add maybe our scales like that. You have to see what works for you, right? And obviously if you want to draw something really, really accurately, you have to use a reference, but that's how I would draw scales. And this is all, as I say, reference free. That's my disclaimer. But you can see, yeah, we've got some scales there. And then what springs to mind now is, let me just grab another pencil. Where has it gone? I've lost the pencil. We're doing textures today. We're doing textures today. And then what I would do is I would definitely darken the scales here where they overlap. Nice to see you, Alex Hewlett, excuse me. I would definitely darken it here where the actual scales overlap. And then what I would do is I would add a slight variation in the color in the shade here, and then we've got that nice scaled look, got a little bit of color tone, and that's how I would kind of do it. But as I said, I would definitely get a reference to get that right look, because I know scales have this, they've got these lines kind of on them, you know, these ridges. So that's what I would do. I'm doing well, Patty. How are you? Because you're a beginner and I don't know how to draw scales. Well, there you go. I've just showed you. I've literally just showed you. Aren't you lucky? Look at that. And if you like what you see, please hit the like button. If you really like what you see, please share the live. And if you really, really like what you see, follow me on YouTube, because I will be posting this video on YouTube as well. So you can watch it again along with all my other tutorials. But there you go. We've got some cool scales. That's what I would do. Cheers, mate. Oh, that's nice, mate. You know, you got to stay humble, innit? Is the lighting okay? Because I'm not sure if the lighting's okay. Got to stay humble, mate. You got to stay humble. You got to stay humble. Okay, the lighting's good. Perfect. Okay, so that's how I would deal with scales. Obviously, when you start anything, when I don't know, you have to understand the texture of what you're doing, right? You have to think about the texture of what you're doing. You have to think of light. Say, for example, we just discussed light here. So you can see here, I've just used HB. So now if I want to give this hair or this grass some more volume, you add slight darkened areas, and then all of a sudden you can see we've given that hair here in comparison to here a little bit more depth. You see that? And that's important. So we can do, let's do the same here again. We'll just add a very, very slight V shape here. And that signifies some depth. Like so. You see that? We've got a dip. You know, Alex, I might do one tomorrow. I might do one tomorrow because I haven't done one for a while. So let's just continue here with this. And now you can see in comparison to here, we've got some cool hairs. Is everyone getting that? And what I would suggest as well is practice, obviously, right? So let's go 1, 2, like so. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. 1, 2, 3, 4. Set yourself a task. Oh, from the Ukraine. Okay. How did I... Oh, hold on. Привет. Привет. You're more than welcome. You're more than welcome. Oh, hold on. Hold on. Пожалуйста. Пожалуйста. I hope I've got it right. Never mind. I might have just sworn at you by accident. I hope not. No, I know. I met some people from that area and they told me that was you're welcome, I think. Yeah, there you go. Right. So let's keep going with these structures. Please share if you like the live. Tell your friends, tell your granny. And please subscribe to my YouTube because I don't get paid for this. And if you do subscribe to my YouTube, that would really help me. So what I would do, right? I would just draw some random circles and then ask yourself, set yourself a little task, right? And your little task is, say for example, I want to turn this object here into something hairy, right? So let's turn that into something hairy. Obviously, we have to think about what direction do we want the hair to go in, right? And how much hair do we want on it? So my goal is now to turn this, and I haven't done this before, or if I did it a long time ago. So I'm just adding very, very light strokes with the HB pencil to add some random hair to this ball. Do you see what I'm saying? So this is something you have to kind of experiment with. And as you can see, it's actually looking, it actually looks like a hairy ball. Sorry, mate. It looks like a ball with hair on it. A spherical object with hair on it, as you can see, right? And I'm just going to leave it a little bit patchy because I did that with a zombie the other day. I drew him and his hair was a little bit sparse. He had a little bit more hair than me, but there you go. We've just turned that into a ball with hair on it. Oh, I need to get rid of that title, excuse me. Didn't realise the title doesn't need to be there. I could change that actually, because it's textures, isn't it? Excuse me, texture time. So texture time. Excuse me, that's a bit, I forgot to change that. That was from the live stream before. So good. So try and do that yourself, right? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and do probably the worst one ever. I'm going to try and turn this ball into something metallic, right? So think of your light source. I haven't got anything around me that can really help me, unfortunately. So I'm really just going to have to go with it somehow. So I want to try and turn this ball into something that looks metallic. So bear with me. I'm just going on instinct here. And yeah, I don't know if I've got it yet. I don't think I've got it. Hold on, let me just tidy this hair up. So if this, I want to turn this into something metallic. I wish I had something to look at, because then that would help me a lot. So I don't really like to do tutorials without preparing for them. No, it doesn't look very metallic, I have to say. That's a little bit of a fail. No, I'm not feeling that. I'm going to keep going and see if I can recover it. It would be easier to draw something like a knife, you know. I think it would be easier. You're more than welcome, mate. Everyone's learning. We're learning, and it's not too bad, actually. It's not too bad. It's not really, really metallic. But you can kind of, if you were to look at that, you'd say it looks kind of metallic. Kind of. We need to be grateful. We all need to be grateful. We all need to be grateful. So, see, so that's kind, as I said, I'm not 100% convinced. But if you looked at that, you'd say it looks like a harder surface, right? It definitely doesn't look like hair. But that's why you need to experiment with these things, right? So next, let's say the next texture is, it's kind of looking like metal to me now, actually. I know why. See that? Now we got the metal. And what I would do is I would take away this line totally, because usually we don't have outlines like that around anything. See, and now I think you would all agree that that does actually look quite metallic. It's not world class, I agree. But if you did this, I don't think you wouldn't say that that was wooden, that's for sure. Yeah? So now what do? Let's do a texture like wood. So make sure you follow, if you well you well we have to now because we're drawing it on a spherical object. So I'm going to follow. I'm going to have my wooden shape follow the sphere. See, so now I want to have something that resembles the texture of wood. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to add a grain that is following this ball here. And obviously the grain has different colors or tones in this sense because we've only got grey. So I'm going to try and add some, break up these straight lines as well. They don't need to be 100% straight. And add some grain. See, and that's where we can also add some slight spots every now and again to get this kind of wooden texture. And obviously if you were to draw this in brown, it would be obvious that it would be something wooden. It looks a bit like a globe to me, like a planet somehow. So what's the next one? What's the next one? So let's draw, as I said, I haven't got anything planned, unfortunately. Let's draw something that is made of stone. So now I'm just adding a random layer of my darkest grey. Then I'm going to add another layer of a lighter grey. And I think this is where I would now use this smudge tool, right? So this is going to be my base grey for my stone. So I'm just smudging it and blending it all in nicely. So that's my base, right? And then what I would do is I would say, right, stone always has a grain, dots, gaps. So I would add some random shapes to give that stone. I'll even add a little crack here so the surface is not perfect. Do you see what I mean? So when you add that little dent in here, it makes it look like it's really made of stone, and then maybe even a blemish like so. And then some random flecks. And that would, for me, would be stone. Yeah, glass. That's another tricky one because glass is, it's based on the it's I think what I would do. Let me just take this out, right? Because I think a circle is quite hard to work with. Right, so let's try and turn this into glass. because glass, it doesn't really have a surface, does it? So I haven't got anything in front of me to look at either. Yeah, you know what? I should actually do a tutorial on drawing glass, because I need to learn it myself. So let me see now. Let me see if I can try and. Hmm. See, for me, I would be going down this road. If I was to want to draw something, maybe that's a little bit too much. I would aim for this kind of look for glass. And I think it's a case of less is more. So maybe I could even take that down. I'm not sure. Not convinced, but I think I will definitely make a note of that. And then I will definitely do one on glass itself, because that's a cool. I think glass and metal, the two most difficult, I believe, surfaces to draw. Not sure. Not convinced, but yeah, I'm not convinced with what I've drawn here either. And like I like to prepare my live stream, and I haven't done it. But that kind of looks like glass. Kind of does. Let me just try that again. I've got an idea. I've got an idea. I think it's very important to get rid of this line. See, for me, that is looking more like glass now. And then I've just thought of something. What I'm going to do is I might have to just twist this around quickly. There you go. You see that? Look at that. You see that? That is on the outside. And I think we've got glass here. This is, for me, the direction I would go in for glass. I think we've nailed it. But that's what I mean. You just have to try. You have to practice and try. And now what I'm going to do is, hold on. Sorry, I'm just concentrating a bit. It's not very reflective, but you get my point. Now, I'm doing anatomy tomorrow. Unfortunately, I haven't got the time today. I've got to prepare for work and prepare to get paid. So, unfortunately, I can't do that today. But that's how I would draw some sort of shiny surface. But it's not over shiny. I need to work on that a little bit. You're welcome. Okay, let's try another one. Yeah, I think that's where you have to do you have to do the shading on the outside to give it that effect that it's got that glossy edge. This is not right. Good. Okay, how long we got? Not long. I've got another 10 minutes, people, and then I'll have to go. So why not? Let's look at, say, for example, here. Let's take a chunk out of this. Like so. I don't know if we want to turn this into a wood or stone. So let's say let's turn it into some sort of stone, hard surface. And then now we've added a random crack in it. If you like what you see, please hit the like button. If you really like what you see, follow me on YouTube to support me. That would be I will be extremely pleased by that. Then you can definitely support me for supporting you guys. And now we have a surface with a crack in it. It has actually. It's got a lot of videos on anatomy. Thank you for mentioning that. Actually, I didn't even think of mentioning it myself. But I like to practice it myself anyway. I like to practice anatomy all the time. So I will be doing one very soon. And there you go. We've got an object. Looks like a hard object with a crack in it. Another texture. Let's add another little gash here. And why not? And then here we have done. Cheers. 4. So there you go. That's another one. And obviously, if you've got an object, don't forget to add the light. You know, the shaded area here. Don't forget to add that. And obviously the shading under here. That will help your object look a lot more convincing. What other texture can we do? We did hair. So let's try and do, I think it was fur. So let's, obviously, depends on what type, but yeah, for me, I think when you look at, and when you want to draw fur, you have to draw it going in different directions. And obviously, what type of fur is it, right? And I would always start from light to dark. So I'm going light. Okay, I'm going to go a little bit wider. I'm going a different direction. I'm always varying the direction of the fur, like so. And now I'm going to go slightly darker, but I'm only going to go darker at the core of the fur. I'm not going dark everywhere. Only the areas that I feel are slightly shaded. I haven't swapped pencils. And for me, we're on the right track for drawing some sort of fur. Always thinking about varying the tone where you need it. Like here, I'm just pushing a little bit harder. I've used exactly the same pencil because I use the pen all the time. That's why I'm stumbling on my words. But I'm just gradually pressing a little bit harder. This does look like hair as well, actually. So hair and fur, I suppose, depends where that's being worn, right? Because it does look like hair. But hair, what's the difference between hair and fur, really? Depending on the person's origins. If you've got afro hair. Where's that one I drew today? Have I put her away? Yeah, I put her away, actually. Oh, that's nice, Manny. That's nice. So there you go. That's how you can practice drawing hair. And, excuse me, fur. If you like what you see, please hit the like button. And subscribe to my YouTube. What's the time now? I'm running out of time. Got another 5 minutes. So try and throw a couple more at me and I'll try and help you. What can we do quickly? So now here we've got some sort of sleeve. And I'm going to just render it with lines so it looks like it's got folds in it. And like, if you imagine now, this is the opening of the sleeve. I'm only adding to the areas where I know there is shading. See that, like so. So that's another texture we've got. And if we've got some sort of band here, and it goes behind here in this crease, it comes back out here, goes down here. We're following the contours of our fold, and then this band comes down here. So it's a continuous line, could be of color. We now have like so. Oh, the sun is out today. Look at that. Lovely. Lovely. Look at that. Done. So, thank you very much for the gifts. Patty, long time no see. Nice to see you, Natty. Patty and Natty in the house. Water drops. Well, that's, yeah. ah, it's pretty much like glass, isn't it, really? I wouldn't, I've never done it before. But that's pretty much all I would do. I just killed that. I just killed that. I just got, oh, thank you. Oh, Des, yeah, you did. Oh, good. Look, there you go. There you go, Manny. I've just killed your question in like 2 seconds. There you go. That's a water droplet, mate. Done. Finished. He's like, a water droplet. I'm like, yeah, of course you can. Look, just do it like that. That's how I would do it. Almost incomplete in a way. You too, Patty. You too. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. I haven't seen you for a while. You've been following me a long time now. That's for sure. But that's how I would do a water droplet. And I'm doing this all reference free, people, so bear with me if it does look a bit naff. And I will prepare my next one. But for me, that looks like a pretty good water droplet, if I'm honest. You're welcome, Generation X. Just hit the like button, share with your friends. That's all I ask. That's all I ask. What else? Last couple. We got 2 more minutes. We've got 2 more minutes. What are we going to do quickly? I haven't got any ideas. Let's go. Let's go. Right, let's go negative grass. So let's go. Tick. This is something I learned the other day while drawing Bernie Wrights and stuff. You can draw, for example, grass like this, where you only use your shading around the object. You see that? So that's a cool one to understand. Negative, I think they call it negative light, where you just can't, you focus on highlighting the object with the darkness behind or the shading behind it. That's a nice one to learn. Well, sand. Well, I don't know. Sand. I wouldn't go very far with it. I would just add small pebbles and a selection of dots. You see, like that. I wouldn't add any more than that. See, for me, that's like a sandy surface. And sand is it falls quite smooth, it's quite, see, I would just, how far do you want to take it? Yeah, it's a bit of a difficult one. And then what I would do, let's just do one more. Let's do one more. I'm going to draw wire. Let's draw a wire around this. So we have a wire. Think of a tube. And then let's add another wire. So it's going to bulge slightly here, right? And go back down here. And then obviously we have to get rid of one or the other. This one. I'm going to bulge it a little bit more here. So it looks like it's actually on top of it. Probably even higher. All these things take a little bit of fine tuning, right? So we're never going to get it right first time. Well, I don't. Maybe you can, but I can't. And now we've got some sort of, you could say, cable or metal tubing around. Let's take it around the ball here. And for me, the highlight or the key would be now the shading on the actual tubing or wiring or whatever you want to call it. So we now need to concentrate on getting that. Like, I'm going to zone this off here and then hatch it. I'm going to zone that off here. This tells me where I want my hatch, and then hatch it. And then we have some sort of cabling around. Zone it off, hatch it up. See, now it's starting to take shape. Zone it off, hatch it up. And then last but not least, we're going to go really dark here. And then we've got some sort, it looks like almost like a metal cable around a ball. I don't know why I drew that, but that was the first thing that sprang to mind. And then we could even use our technique that we used here before. So we don't actually highlight the ball, we highlight the surface around the ball. Don't ask me what this is supposed to be, I have no idea. There you go. So there you go. Yeah, but rope, that's going to be the last one today, people. Rope is not that difficult. It's like plaits, you know. Rope, you obviously you have to look at the texture of the rope. You have to look at the texture of the rope, like so. And if we've got rope like this is where textures is more. I find textures is a lot about shading and line weight. So if this is our rope, almost looks like a plait, right? See, then you have to think of your light source. Where is it coming from? And then I would go, because I'm thinking the rope is twisted like that, like so. And the same technique I would use for hair, because it almost has the same texture. And obviously if you've got an anchor at the bottom, people will assume that it's a rope and not someone's hair. Like so. And now I am finished this last part. Then I have to make a phone call and check something. Ta-da! So that's it for today, people. I'm done and dusted. If you're not following me, you should. If you really like what you see, tell your friends. That would be fantastic for me. If you want to support me, keep me keen. Look after the old man. As you know, I'm not getting paid for this. And if you guys help me with my YouTube, I might one day be able to get paid for this effort that I'm making. This is a nice page, actually. It's come out really quite good. And thank you for joining me. And I will see you all very soon. Any last questions before I go? I just forgot to ask. Any quick ones? This will be posted on my YouTube channel. I will take a photograph of this, post it on the YouTube, and I'll post it also on my TikTok. Good. Have a good one.